Issei's parents are killed by orders of Kokabiel and he is left all alone. As he is about to get killed by the people who killed his parents, Ophis comes to save him. He learns that he is the great-grandson of the vanishing Dragon Albion and coincidentally has his sacred gear Divine Dividing and the strongest Vritra sacred gear. Opise Isix Kurokix Harem. Just in Community Forum More Black Prison of Supremacy by Croisery Asmo. Anime, High School DxD, Haisuku Ru D times D rated. M. English, Romance and Supernatural. H. Issei. Kuroka, Rias G. Ubaluna, Words. 98K+, Faves. 1K+, Follows. 1K+, Published, January 27, 2017 Updated. August 16, 2018 525 Chapter 1. Rise of the Black Supremacy. This is a completely original storyline with some inspiration from the fanfiction called, Holy Inferno Dragon. Issei will have a harem at some point in the future of the story but it won't be immediate. Maybe after the Riser arc. Now with all that said, on with the story. Talking, thinking, Albion, Vritra. Start death. Something that one shouldn't have to deal with until they're emotionally ready. Unfortunately enough, at the age of 7 a young Issei Hyodo had to go through it. Why did you do this? Why did you do this to my mommy and daddy? Cried a little Issei. He was looking up at two people, dressed in black armor with large swords which seemed to have a look of dragons circling around the hilt. You see, one of the men said. We were hired by a fallen angel named Kokabiel. Apparently he couldn't risk the chance of you and your father ruining his future plans, so he decided to hire us. Why he couldn't just have us kill your father and use you as a weapon is beyond me, but hey, we already got paid, so whatever. Why are you even bothering to tell him this, Siegbert? The other man asked. We're just gonna kill him anyways. Yes, but I can't help but love the look of absolute fear in my target Xander. It was absolute fear he wanted and that's exactly what he got. Issei was too scared to even move from the floor of his home. All he saw around him was the bloody walls of his home and the dead bodies of his parents. He didn't even understand why this was happening to him. Who is Kokabiel? How were they a threat in any plan? All he knew was that his father was a lawyer and his mother was an accountant. They couldn't ruin any plans. How could we ruin any plans? We're just regular people, Issei cried out. This was the first time that Issei yelled at someone with absolute hatred. But he didn't care, all he wanted was to be reunited with his parents. Regular people, you say? That's just barely true since your mother is the only one in your family who's normal, said Siegbert. What do you mean? Asked Issei. Foolish child, you really didn't know, huh? Well, since you're about to die, I'll have the decency to explain why. You see, your father is a dragon, the grandson of the White Dragon Emperor to be exact. From what we have been told, he came to the human world to live life away from the supernatural 20 years ago. He eventually met your mother, got married and well. The rest is history. Issei didn't understand how this was possible. His father was a dragon. No, he's just a boring lawyer, that's all. No, you're lying. There's no way that my dad is a dragon, it's impossible. Issei said, not willing to believe what this man has said. Open up your eyes, child. Haven't your parents been secretive at all? Xander asked. As he asked that, Issei did realize that he has been restricted, to the point that he's been watched at all times by his parents. He's never been allowed to be around fire, never was allowed outside the house unless his father was with him. Hell, he was homeschooled and was never allowed to interact with any kids his age. He realized that his parents would always keep things away from him. Whenever he would ask why he couldn't do all these things, they would just say it was for his safety. As I thought, you were never told about your true heritage. Too bad that you learn about it as you are about to die. As Xander says this, he raises his sword to execute Issei. Mommy. Daddy, now we can be a family once again, Issei thinks as he starts to cry. Not yet, young one. When Issei heard a voice of a stranger person, he decided to look up, confused at why he wasn't killed right then and there. That's when he saw a woman who seemed to be around the age of 20 to 25. She wore a black gothic dress with a purple ribbon on the back and had long black hair. She seemed to be unafraid that there were two men with swords and armor in front of her, but that's when Issei saw what was happening to them. Damn you, how dare you interfere with our business, Siegbert said, while slowly and what seemed to be painfully disintegrating into ashes. You see, I need this boy for future plans and I cannot allow him to be killed, so now I bid you goodbye. Once she finished speaking she snapped her fingers and they began to disappear even faster. "I hate you," they said in unison as they began to burn into ashes until their bodies were completely destroyed. Once they were no more, the young woman turned around to look at Issei. She looked almost emotionless with those dark gray eyes. He couldn't see anything, no emotion at all. Even her movement looked dead, as if she didn't have a care in the world. "Who are you?" Issei asked, confused at why she wanted to for any future plans of hers. "Why did you need to save me? You have potential to be powerful. You are a descendant of the White Dragon Emperor. I need this power to reclaim my silence. With you I can finally eliminate Great Red." This mysterious girl went on to say that everything about God, angels, fallen angels and devils is true. Mythical beings like dragons, heroes like Heracles and gods such as Zeus, Odin and Anubis are real. To answer your first question, my name is Ophis and my question to you is, what do you wish to do with your life now? When Ophis had asked him that, it hit him. What was he going to do now? He had lost his parents who were the only source of protection for him. Now he had only himself to depend on. He was only a kid and he was left all alone. No kid his age should be left alone like this. Wait, that's it. No one his age should lose his parents. They shouldn't have to depend on only themselves. He doesn't want anyone to be put into this type of situation. He wants to make sure no one will be left alone like he was. Never again. Issei stands up from the ground, looks straight into Ophis' eyes and says, "I want to protect the ones I love. I don't want anyone to suffer what I have." With this, Ophis gives Issei a smile. One with very little effort, but a smile nonetheless. As expected, she says, while reaching her hand out with something resembling a snake coming out of her hand. "Using one of my snakes, I shall grant you some of my power to help you reach this goal of yours. But remember this, one day I'll need you to help me with my goal." Issei nods his head. Since she had saved him from death, it was only fair that he helps her. He reaches to her hand and takes this snake of hers. Once contact is made, it gets absorbed into his body and he can feel power flowing inside of him. He almost collapses from the sudden power that he had absorbed. But that's when something interesting happened. On his back there appeared to be 2 white wings, and on his chest, a black chest plate with a golden jewel in the center. Interesting. Seems like you have the power of your ancestor and the black prison dragon. Ophis was very pleased to see that the one she depended on the most had the divine dividing and prison of ruined sacred gears. "I have the power of my ancestor?" Issei asks. "Yes, you do. Allow me to explain." Ophis goes on to tell Issei the story of the Albion, the white dragon of supremacy, and Diedrig, the red dragon of domination. How the two had a feud which ended up with the angels, fallen angels and devils to have a temporary truce during the Great War to deal with these dragons. She tells him how it ended with them being put into 2 sacred gears, the boosted gear and divine dividing, which led to them being put into a host for them to continue their eternal battle. Not only do you have divine dividing, but you also have the strongest sacred gear that the Black Dragon King Vritra was put into. These sacred gears will eventually allow you to speak with them when you become strong enough, as they have the consciousness of each dragon. "So I'm kinda special, aren't I?" Issei asked. Now with the knowledge of being both descendant and wielder of Albion, it really gave him something to work for to become stronger. "Yes. You truly are Issei," she replied. "I need to go now, Issei. I will come visit you every now and then to see how strong you have become, but promise me something." "Yes, what is it, Ophis?" he asked. "Promise me you will become strong. You are my last true hope to finally regain my silence." "I promise, Ophis. I will return your kindness by returning you to your silence," he replied. "Thank you, Issei. I'll see you soon," and with that Ophis flew away. At that moment he didn't know where he was going to go. He wasn't sure how he could survive on his own, but he was sure about one thing. He will return Ophis to her silence again. To do that he must get stronger, he must protect others, and above all he must become the Black Supremacy N. Alright, here's the situation. I randomly thought of this concept cause it would be the only easy way for there to be a Black Dragon Emperor storyline without making a whole new dragon and giving Valley Albion as usual and Diedrig to someone random and have to deal with crap from there. The storyline here will have Issei using Vritra and Albion together and making his balance breaker armor be black with the ability to use both of their powers. In here Issei has the sacred gear of Vritra, which has his consciousness allowing him to talk to him like he can talk to Diedrig and Canon. Saji will have a Vritra's sacred gear still, but he won't be able to talk to Vritra since it doesn't have his consciousness. Valley will be the red dragon Empor in this storyline. By the way, finally I did this first chapter in a rush to get new ideas, so if I made any mistakes or something made no damn sense, please tell me. Issei's harem will include Guarentade, Rias, Akano, Zenobia, Irina, Ravel, Ubaluna, and Tsubaki. Possibly Sona, Gabriel, Serafal. The reason Asia won't be in it will be because I will kill her off. The reason for it will be a good one, so don't worry about any bullshit. Also, I was considering about having Gabriel be obsessed with Issei, almost like a yandere. So tell me if you would be interested in that. Now the actual finally, I will try to update every week but no promises. Now share, follow, like, review. Goodbye. Ch1 of 31 next. Chapter 2. Info. Okay, I need to get some stuff I mentioned in the first chapter clear. 1. The reason I didn't describe Issei's physical appearance is because I'm having a 10-year time skip and I feel like it would be pointless to describe him as a kid when I'm gonna do it again but as a teenager. 2. Asia is gonna die because in canon her death by Shalba is what caused Issei to go Juggernaut. But here Issei can fully control it, so she won't be needed there. And I honestly hate her character because she honestly seems so needy for love in the anime. It annoys me. She will have a brief return much later on, but after she gets killed by the fallen angels she's gone for a while. By the way, Rainier isn't gonna kill her. 2. Just to clarify in case anyone is confused, Saji will keep his sacred gear. From what I know, in the original story Vritra gets split into 5 or so sacred gears. In this story Issei has the strongest one, which contains his consciousness. Think about it like Albion is living in divine dividing and Diedrich is in the boosted gear. 3. I'm brand new to this fanfiction thing, so if something makes no sense or there's some mistakes, please tell me so I can fix it. 4. I got a request to make Valley a female, and while I personally like the idea, I want your input. If she's in or not in Issei's harem is something you guys can decide as well. If I get the feedback that you guys do want that, then I'll make it happen. 5. The reason that Ubaluna, and possibly any other of Riser's peerage, is gonna be in the harem is because I plan to kill Riser off because he and Issei will have a fight to the death and Issei takes Riser's peerage. The reason for this will be explained in detail in a future chapter, so wait for that. 6. I encourage you guys to request people for Issei's harem, as long as they make sense. I have ideas in case people want characters like Grafia, Rainier, and maybe Evim villains like Kateria. 7. Finally, just to point this out, Ophis will not be a part of the harem. She will be more like a mother figure to Issei because she's gonna help him make decisions and all that. If I left anything out, I'll take care of it in the start of the next chapter. Now take care, you mother fickers. Corny but IDC cheeky smiley face. Page S. I literally forgot about this until I actually uploaded this information chapter. Kuroka will be Issei's main pairing. My personal reason is because I just love her character. The story explanation will come next chapter. Previous Ch2 of 31 next, Chapter 3, Dragon Meets School. What's going on, guys? It's Croisery Asmo with the next chapter of Black Prison of Supremacy. First, I just want to get through some reviews I got. Anime Lover Q8. I probably will be doing Femme Valley, so expect that in the future, and about Penamue IDK much on her cause I only watched the anime. Feel free to PM me to give me info about her so I can think about it. Ryujin 96. We went over this in a PM, but I'll talk about it here for everyone else. It's Black Dragon Empor and it will be explained in this chapter. I will add Gabriel, but maybe without the yandere part. Rosweiss and Schwalen will be in the harem. Finally, Ophis is an adult and I fixed that mistake in the first chapter. Zofia Hyodo, she will be in the harem. War historian, I'll probably be doing that. Alright, time to get into the story. Vritra talking. Albion talking, thinking or talking with Albion, Vritra in head. Start Kuo 10 years later. I can't believe Oka-sama is forcing me to go to school, said Issei Hyodo. I can't believe that you still refer Ophis as Oka-sama. I thought you grew out of that, said Albion, somewhat annoyed that Issei is referring the infinite dragon god as his mother. Shut up, Albion, you know that she practically raised me, Issei replied. Let the boy be, Albion, said Vritra. You must understand that Ophis is the closest thing Issei has had to a parent since his have passed. Let him have this. That's right. It's been 10 years since that day, 10 years since Issei had lost his parents. Ophis had become the closest thing he could have to be mother ever since he lost his. She was always there when Issei had called for her, she helped him awaken his sacred gears and was always there to listen to him whenever he wanted to talk. But I'm his great-grandfather and he still hasn't called me Ojii-san, replied Albion with a hint of jealousy in his voice. Oh my, is the great vanishing dragon jealous of Ophis. It's been 7 years since he's awakened us. I've suggested him to call me Ojii-san but he refuses to do so every time. That's right. It's been 7 years since Issei had awakened Albion and Vritra. Both of them were confused to why they were sharing a single host, but after some discussion they had decided to make it work somehow. A few days after Issei had awakened the dragons, his physical appearance had started to change. Instead of his regular brown hair, it had changed to become more of a silver color. His eyes had also gotten a change of color, with one of them becoming white while the other turned blue. It was assumed by both dragons that Albion would have an effect on Issei's physical appearance while Vritra would have an effect on his sacred gear. This turned out to be true because his balance breaker with divine dividing ended up being black with purple jewels instead of white with blue jewels. While Issei was listening to the two bickering dragons, he was getting ready for school. He got changed into his school, which consisted of a black blazer over a white dress shirt with his favorite white shirt with black stripes. While he was walking towards his new school, the bickering between the dragons had ended and Issei decided to enter the conversation once again. So why did Oka-sama decide to put me into school again? Ophis thought it was a good idea for you to have an actual social life with regular people. So far all you've done is take some jobs hunting people down, and that's not so healthy if it's the only thing you do besides train, replied Vritra. That's not completely true. I would say that I have a good social life with Kuroka. Ah yes, that's a completely normal social life you got there. Every time you two reunite you mate for hours on end. It's not only sex, you know. We hang out and do stuff that regular couples do as well. Yes, but this regular couple is comprised of the current white drag. Black Dragon Empor, since Issei's balance breaker was colored black. Much to Albion's dismay, Issei wanted to be known as the Black Dragon Empor. Psi fine, this regular couple is comprised of the Black Dragon Empor and a fugitive wanted by the devils. Issei knew that Kuroka was a wanted criminal by the Devil Society, but he didn't care at all. She recently told him that it was true that she killed her master, but the devils didn't know why she did it. She revealed to him that she killed him because he was performing experiments on her, hoping that it would make her stronger, and was planning on doing the same to her younger sister Chiron. Issei didn't care about her past because he knew that if he were in that situation he would have done the same as well. Because of this she completely devoted herself to him in mind, soul and body. That night she gave him her virginity and kept trying to have his children to make the Nekomata race stronger. Speaking of which, where is she? She always disappears and returns every now and then, asked Vritra. She's busy with hiding from the devils and work, replied Issei. We'll talk about her later, seems like I arrived at school. Issei started to walk into the school grounds. On his way to his homeroom he heard voices of many female students saying things like, "Is he a student? He totally is. He's wearing the uniform, he's so hot. Hee, maybe I can make a harem here. What do you think?" asked Issei. I don't think Kuroka would like it. She told me that she wouldn't mind as long as she has my kids before anyone else. Either way, you only deserve the best of girls. Only girls with a good butt deserve to be with you. And the butt dragon Empor strikes again, mocked Vritra while laughing. Why did I have to share a host with you of all people? Alright, that's enough, you two settle down, said Issei as he made his way to his class. Alright class, settle down, we have a new student today. Please come in, said the teacher. Issei walked in and the class was immediately filled with the sound of squealing girls. Now please write your name and introduce yourself. Issei nodded and wrote his name on the chalkboard. My name is Issei Hyodo, please take care of me, introduced Issei as he bowed his head. Good. Now feel free to take any seat available. Issei nodded and went to go sit next to the window. He wasn't paying much attention in class, but when the teacher did ask him a question he would answer it correctly. Throughout the class he did notice a girl with short blue hair staring at him every so often, almost as if she were evaluating him. After a while he decided to ignore her and move on, but he did notice that she did have some devil aura within her, so he decided to ask Albion and Vritra about it. Hey guys, why is it that this girl has the aura of a devil? Asked Issei. I'm surprised that you haven't figured it out yet. This town had been under the control of devils for a while. That is correct. From what I know, it's under the control of the next heir Gremory, with the heir of Citri also living here. Oh great. There goes my normal social life, replied Issei, somewhat annoyed that he has to deal with the devil faction now. Time went on and lunch had begun. Issei decided to eat outside next to a tree. After a while of eating, he had noticed two male students running away from what seemed to be the entirety of the kendo club. Wanting to be entertained, he decided to use some magic to trip them and see how badly they would get hurt. After pointing a finger at them, they fell face first on the ground, then got mauled by the kendo club. Issei began to laugh at the sight he had caused. You can be quiet, a sadist, can't you, partner? Hey, they probably deserved what came to them seeing how mad the kendo club got. Partner, there's someone watching you. Issei decided to look up and saw a girl who took his breath away. Upon the window of what was the old school building was a beautiful girl with blue-green eyes and long red hair flowing in the air. Her looks rivaled Kuroka, and she had breasts which were easily bigger than Kuroka's. After a few seconds, she closed the windows and walked out of view, leaving Issei stunned in her beauty. Rias Pav, that boy. I can sense a good amount of power coming from him, she thought as she closed the window. She went down to the couch to continue her game of chess with her queen. Akeno, who was that boy? Rias asked. If memory serves me correct, he's in class 3A. His name is Issei Hyodo. Why? Does the president have a new interest? Fufufu, replied the girl named Akeno. She had long jet black hair which was tied with a orange ribbon and reached down to her legs. Her eyes were violet and somehow had breast even bigger than Rias's. Oh no, nothing of that sort, I was just curious, that's all, she replied. Oh, checkmate. Oh no, seems like I lost again, said Akeno. Better luck next time, said Rias as she began to remove her clothes to get into the shower. She turned on the water, letting it flow down her body. Just who are you, Issei Hyodo? And whoa, that was a clean 1500 words. I was gonna do a lemon scene with Issei and Kuroka this chapter, but I decided against it and just chose to reference past sex moments. Now here's the updated the harem list. Guarentade. Rias, Kuroka, Rainier, Akeno, Zenobia, Irina, Ravel, Ubaluna, Schwalen, Gabriel, Rosweiss and Tsubaki. Maybe. Kalawarner, Penamwe, Sona, Serafal, Grafia, and Tsubasa. Alright, as always, please review, follow, favorite and take care, mother fickers. First, previous ch3 of 31. Next, chapter 4, A Dragon's Lover. Yo, what's up guys, it's Croisery Asmo here with the next chapter of the story. Thanks for all the positive feedback so far, I really appreciate it. Now with the reviews. Naruto, thanks a lot. Blessing NVY, thanks a lot, and I'll probably add them. Tiamat will be easy, but Grafia will be a challenge. Guest, I will, don't worry. JLOC, thanks, I appreciate it. Ryujin 96, thanks for the constant support thus far. Kuroka and Issei was started early cause she's my favorite DXD girl and I'm being a biased bastard. Sorry. Also about the size of the harem, it will be talked about at the end, so stay tuned. With that all said, on with the FIC, talking, thinking or speaking in thought with Albion, Vritra. Albion, Vritra. He couldn't forget her. No, he wouldn't forget her. She had beauty that was just breathtaking. Sure, he loved Kuroka with all his heart and thought that she was beautiful in her own right, but this girl was just stunning. I don't see what's so special about her, Albion said. Red hair, I don't like it. Shut up, Albion. Do you guys have any idea who she is? Issei asked. Her name is Rias Gremory, heir of the House of Gremory and sister of the current Mao Lucifer. She is also known as the crimson-haired ruin princess. How exactly did you know that, Vritra? Issei asked, dumbfounded of how Vritra knew this information since he hasn't been awakened for years. I can extract information from the other sacred gears that contain my powers. Apparently the heiress of Citri, Sona Citri, has a pawn that has one of the sacred gears. Speaking of which, would you like to use that technique to take his sacred gear and put it into someone under your control? I'll be considering it. It would be a major asset to have someone with your power under my control. It would also be a huge problem if I just take his sacred gear, since he is serving the heiress of Citri. With that aside, what else can you tell me about Rias-san? Sorry for interrupting your little conversation, but it appears that your lunch period is over. Time to make your way to class, you two can continue this later. Issei got up from his resting spot and made his way to his class. He didn't know why, but he just couldn't get her out his mind. But there was something about the situation that bothered him. Why was she staring at him? Obviously she saw him use magic on the two guys, but it seemed that she was assessing him like that other girl in his class. But why? Did she sense his draconian aura, or did she sense his sacred gears? He didn't know which it was, but it kept bothering him. But for now he decided to deal with that later and get to class. The rest of the day went on slowly as he was forced to listen to the boring history of the world. Issei wasn't paying attention at all during class. All he was doing was staring outside at the tree he was resting on earlier. For a regular person these lessons might be interesting, but he wasn't regular person at all. Issei had been told many stories from all the mythologies and was a fan of many of them, so the history of the human world didn't give him any interest. He wondered why some humans would want to learn more about the past anyways. Ah, Hyodo-san, dozing off are we? Tell me, what date of the invasion of Normandy during World War II? The teacher asked. He had a smirk on his face as if he were hoping to catch Issei off guard and embarrass him in front of the class. June 6, 1944, Issei replied, still looking out the window. And what was the codename for this attack? He asked. Operation Overlord, replied Issei. Gee, good job, the teacher said, still surprised of the fact Issei knew this information. Everyone in the class was shocked that Issei had known this information, but the one who still had their composure was the blue-haired girl who was now staring at Issei, but with a more suspicious look on her face. Vritra, do you know anything about the girl staring at me? Issei asked. He was now getting annoyed of the fact that someone was staring at him the entirety of the class. Her name is Tsubasa Yura. She's a rook in service of Sona Citri. I'm gonna assume that she's going to report me to her master by the end of the day. Well, that's just great. She already told her master about you during the lunch period. By this point we should assume that both kings already know about you. It's just a matter of when they'll make a move on you. So much for a normal social life. Time skip 4 hours later. Finally, I can go home and have some time for myself. Don't get too comfortable. You still have 2 more days until the weekend, Albion said. Going to school is really going to mess up my schedule. Look ahead. It seems like someone has been waiting for you. Vritra was right. There was a girl on the bridge looking straight at me. She was in a what seemed to be a school uniform, but he couldn't recognize which school it was from. Her uniform was consisted of a dark red jacket with the letter P embroidered in gold, a white undershirt, a red bow, and a green skirt with a thin white strip around the lower end of it. Her hair was black and long enough to reach down to her hip, and violet eyes. Hi, you're Issei, right? She asked in a shy voice, but Issei could tell that it was forced. A fallen angel. Shall we dispose of her? Not yet, let's just see what she wants. Yeah, is there anything I can do for you? He asked. Issei was a very talented actor and made it seem as if he were a regular person. I just wanted to ask a quick question. Are you seeing anyone right now? She asked with what seemed to be a fake blush going across her face. No, not currently, replied Issei. In that case, would you like to go out with me? Take the offer. This way we can know what her plans are. Why, yeah. I'd love to. His acting never fails to impress me. That's great, she said. I'll see you this Sunday by the mall. She began to walk the opposite direction until Issei spoke up. Wait, he exclaimed. You still haven't told me your name yet. It's Yuma, she replied as she began to run off with that fake blush still on her face. Seems like your Sunday is now booked. Issei began to walk away and another girl came out of hiding. A petite girl with short white hair that had a black cat hairclip on both sides and wearing the Kuo Academy uniform was staring at walking away Issei while licking on a popsicle stick. I better report this to Bucko, Issei's house. Finally, I'm home. Once he locked the door, he activated his sacred gears since no one was planned on coming over. You do realize that if Kuroka finds out about your little date, she's going to kill you, right? Albion said aloud. You're ironically going to die by the person who devoted themselves to you. Relax, Albion, Issei said while turning on the TV with some food in hand. She's not going to find out. She already knows anyways. How do you know? He asked, confused on how Kuroka could possibly find out about his date. Because I'm right behind you, nya, said a very seductive voice behind Issei. Oh shit, was the only thing he could say as he immediately. It's been nice knowing you, the dragons said in unison. Issei immediately got off the couch and looked behind him to see a beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure, long black hair with split bangs, and hazel gold eyes with cat-like pupils. She was wearing black kimono, a yellow obi, a set of golden beads, and an ornately detailed headband. The kimono features a red interior and it is open at her shoulders, which gave a view to her enormously large breast. What? No, hello Kuroka. No, I missed you Kuroka. You're gonna make this kitty cry nya, she said, trying to act incosant and drawing a fake tear. Well, I would be happy that you're here, but I'm not sure if you're mad at me, he replied with a bit of fear in hid voice. Oh my eyes kun nya. Do you think I'm mad about you because you were gonna cheat on me or because you thought you could get away with it nya, she said as she formed some orbs made by her senjutsu around her. Both? He asked. Wrong, she said, snapping her fingers which made the orbs dissipate. Wrong? He asked. Issei was certain that she was mad at him for what he was planning to do. Yes, wrong, she said, seating him back on couch and sitting next to him. Issei was shocked. Not because she wasn't mad but because she took a more serious tone over her usual seductive personality. Seems like she's finally becoming more civil. You should know that I don't mind if you have a harem as long as I have your children first. But since you didn't want to tell me about the fallen angel first, you'll have to do something for me nya, she said in her seductive voice. You were saying? Anything for you Kuroka, Issei said with a smile. Good, she said while getting closer to his ear. Because you're gonna be giving me 7 kittens nya. Issei immediately stood up from where he was seated, shocked at what her request was. 7, he exclaimed. Oh yes, that's not enough, how about 10 nya? Wait, what? You want 12 then? Shut up. I'm done talking, Issei said defeated. Nyahaha. Don't worry Aiz-kun, we won't have our hybrid babies for a little while longer. With that being said, we could always get some more practice in nya, she said while pushing her breast together, making them look larger. Issei loved her breast and she knew it. Much to Albion's dismay, he has always been more of a breast man rather than an ass man like Albion. She would always take advantage of this weakness of his, either get her way with him. But this time Issei would be the one in control as he laid her on the couch with him hovering over her. You know, when we do have our kids, they'll look beautiful because you'll be the mother, he said looking straight into her eyes. He then kissed her French style, which led their tongues to battle for dominance. Issei wouldn't let her win this battle, so he eventually overpowered her, which got her to release some moans within the kiss. After a few minutes of kissing they separated so they wouldn't pass out from the lack of air. They began to lovingly stare into each other's eyes until Kuroka chose to break the silence. You really know how to make a girl feel special, don't you Aiz-kun? What can I say? I guess I've known you for so long that I know how to take care of you, he replied. It's just us two, let's have some fun. Nya Aiz-kun, you're a naughty boy. But what is a defenseless maiden such as I supposed to do with a hormonal dragon? She asked with a false voice of fear. Kuroka, yes Aiz-kun? I love you too. They looked into each other's eyes and shared a quick kiss. Issei might be making a harem, but Kuroka will always have a special place in his heart. Alright, so first off I wanna leave the fact if Saji lives or dies to you guys. The thought of taking his sacred gear and giving it to someone else who Issei can control was interesting, so you guys can decide if it happens and who gains the sacred gear. Next, Issei's harem is going to have as many girls as I think is good, since he still is a pervert and wants a huge one. I can guarantee that it won't be larger than 25 girls. Now I'm sorry for any stupid clichés in this chapter. I think they aren't too bad, so go easy on me. And finally, please tell me if I made any mistakes at all so I can fix them. As always, please review, follow, favorite and take care motherfickers. First, previous ch4 of 31. Next, chapter 5. Update. What's going on guys, it's Croisery Asmo here with a story update. First off, sorry this ain't an actual chapter, but the next chapter will come on Sunday, so please be patient. First off, I just wanna talk about Issei's harem. The concept of the harem will be different from how other people depict his harem. A few days ago a reader by the name of JLOCP med me and suggested a concept which I loved. This is his idea exactly. Group 1. Rias x Akano x Tsubaki x Sona. Main Devil Group. Some competitions for kings and queens, heirs. Group 2. Kuroka X that 2 Neko girls of riser peerage, Neko group. All then wants their babies. Lots of sex. All day sex. Group 3. Rainair X Carla Warner X Gabriel. Group of angels. Fallen angel teach an angel how to be a naughty girl. BSDM group. Masochist. Want to be punished. Group 4. Xenovia X Irina X Rossweiss. Group of sacred girls. Dream of marriage. Romantic things. Group 5. Ravel X Ubaluna X Schwalen. X Risers, admiring Issei's power. First off, I'm not saying that I'm gonna do this, but maybe something close to it. By the way, feel free to PM me any ideas. I love reader input. By the way, Gabriel will be able to have sex with Issei without the need of the special room which is described in the LN or manga, and the reason of that will be explained in a future chapter. Secondly, the deal with no lemon in the last chapter with Kuroka is because I'm still trying to learn how to write a good one for a future chapter. Feel free to suggest who the first lemon will consist of. Third, I'm not 100% sure how the whole situation with Issei stealing Saji's sacred gear will work out, cause Sona wouldn't let Issei just take it. For free at least. Hint hint nudge nudge XD. I'll figure it out somehow. Fourth, Issei still is a decent pervert but not to the extent of canon Issei. Finally, just so you guys know, I'm still a sophomore in high school, so if I don't update as much it's cause school is a pain. Also, next chapter might be longer than the past few, so I hope you guys like it and enjoy these preview scenes. That'll happen next time. Winking face. Next time on Black Prison of Supremacy. WUD die. I can't do it. Your pawn is too weak, Citri. He doesn't deserve a piece of me. I'll let you have his sacred gear, but I need a favor from you. In the name of Sona Citri, I call to you, Issei Hyodo, to be reborn as my devil servant. You my pawn, flow with the tide of the underworld, and live under my command. First, previous ch5 of 31. Next, chapter 6. Meeting with devils. What's up guys, it's Croisery Asmo with a new chapter. I wanna say that this chapter is 2x longer than usual, so I hope you like it. I'm gonna try to get the future chapters longer if you guys like it. Reviews, PMs Toka 123 thank you. Dead Man playing thanks a lot. Zestirio's first off Ophis won't be in the harem since she's a mother figure to Issei. As for Tiamat, she will be in it. Don't get your hopes up for Great Red and Tannen cause I don't think it would make sense. Emo. Yes, he is a sadistic fuck in battle, so that's fun. Blackmist 31 I literally love you for that first part and know he's gonna be solo. I won't put him in a peerage. Skull Flame I'll take them into consideration. Ryujin 96 he's gonna be giving the sacred gear to someone special so they can better protect themselves. I was gonna do the betrayal but that would take a span of a few chapters and I would rather have dealt with it quickly. Also about the PM Lee and Ni are not guaranteed but I'll think about it. Nunchuck 614 I haven't brought this up but since Issei has the strongest Vritra sacred gear it means that he has the power of them all, so putting Saji's into himself is pointless. War Historian most of them will be in it but Griselda IDK I'll think about it. Thanks for the reviews PMS guys, I appreciate it. Now on with the story. Talking, thinking or speaking in thought with Albion, Vritra. Albion, Vritra. Issei's mind. Well, that was an interesting event, don't you agree Albion? That is correct, but there is something I don't understand. Oh, and what's that? Kuroka has the scent of a dragon on her. Well, isn't that because of the fact that Issei is literally on her? No, she has the scent of the red one. Are you sure about that? Positive, I know his scent anywhere. I must know why she has it. Well, isn't this an interesting turn of events? Let's see how this ends up. Issei's room. Who knew that sex for hours on end would be so tiring? You would think that Issei would try to conserve his energy during the act to last longer, but no, he doesn't. Only the people closest to Issei, like Kuroka, Ophis, Vritra and Albion, know that Issei can be a sadist in the truest form. Because of this and the fact that he's a demi-drake, he always uses his energy to be dominant in any situation, especially during sex. However, the aftermath of this always leaves him tired the next morning, which leaves him vulnerable to any of Kuroka's teases, which leaves him at his current situation now. Oh my eyes kun nya, Kuroka said as she was currently on top of an immobile and very nude Issei. Like always, you used up all your stamina trying to dominate me. I'm not complaining though. I love being controlled by you, it's always a pleasurable experience nya. What can I say, I aim to please, said Issei. And as always you are successful at pleasing this kitty. But now it's my turn to be in control. Kuroka started with rubbing her breast in a circular motion on his bare chest. Issei had always loved the feeling of her bare chest on him, even if it meant that she were to take control of the situation. He would never pass up an opportunity like this. You like this feeling, don't you, Aiz-kun? Issei nods affirmatively. Then you're going to love this. Kuroka starts to lean in closer to his neck and begins to leave some kisses, then starts to suck on it with passion. After a few minutes of her sucking on his neck, she gave it one final kiss and got up to inspect her work, only to have a disappointed look on her face. You should know that my skin is too tough for you to leave a mark, Issei said. One day I will mark you as mine, replied Kuroka. Even though you're letting me have a harem, you're quite possessive, aren't you? I just have to make sure your future harem knows who's your favorite. Kuroka looked like as if she were about to cry at the thought of being replaced by other women. Kuroka may be a master of seduction, but she's also a woman in love. Seeing this, Issei got up from the bed and pulled her into a quick but passion-filled kiss. Listen. No matter what, you will always be the most important person in my life, don't ever forget that. You may want to hold that thought, Issei, Albion said aloud. Why's that, Albion? Asked Issei. She has the stench of the red one. Would you like to explain yourself, Kuroka? Ah yes, the Red Dragon Emperor always have fun together nya, Kuroka stated. What did you just say? Issei asked, almost letting out both jealousy and anger. Whenever I feel lonely we even sleep in the same bed together nya, she said with a seductive smile. Where is he? I'm gonna fucking kill him, shouted Issei, angered about the fact another man slept in the same bed as her. He? Oh, you thought that the Red Dragon Emperor is a man? No, the current one is a she, Kuroka stated, almost laughing. Issei stayed quiet and let it sink in. Wait. What? He asked, dumbfounded. Nyahahahaha, Kuroka began to roll on the floor laughing. The current Red Dragon Emperor is a female, you have nothing to worry about, Aiz-kun. Issei just stood there shocked. The Red Dragon Emperor, his sworn enemy, was friends with Kuroka. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Although since it seemed as if you and Albion didn't trust me in being faithful, you now owe me 11 kittens. Damn you, Albion, hahahahahahaha. You think this is funny, vritra? Not funny, it's hilarious. Vritra stated almost mockingly. Look at the bright side, at least your bloodline won't die off. At that moment a miniature magic circle appeared on Kuroka's right ear. What is it? Yes. Yes. Fine, I'm on my way. Who is that? Your rival. It seems like she has a job for me. Will you be back soon? Not sure. Here, take this. She handed him what looked to mimic one of the leaflets which devils hand out to get contracts with humans. Use it if you need me for anything. I love you. I love you too. Stay safe. Kuroka gave him a quick kiss before teleporting herself out using a magic circle. Issei looked at the leaflet and put it in a pocket of his school uniform. Never know when I'll need it. Whatever the case, you need to get dressed and quickly, you're late to school. Shit. I can't believe I'm over an hour late, my teacher is going to kill me. If he doesn't, then it looks like she will. Up ahead at the gate of the school was a group of 8 people which consisted of 7 girls, one of which was the girl staring at Issei yesterday, and 1 boy. There was something almost familiar about the boy, but Issei couldn't figure it out. That boy, his name is Saji Genshuru and he has one of my sacred gears. From what I can tell, it seems like he hasn't even unlocked Balance Breaker. He is a disgrace. He doesn't deserve to have one of my sacred gears. Don't worry, I'll figure something out. He won't have a piece of you for much longer. Thank you, Issei. Issei Hyodo, said short girl in the middle with black hair styled in a short bob cut. My name is Suna Shitori, the president of the student council. Can you explain why you are late to school today? Shitori senpai, please forgive me. I simply overslept, he said. I see. You are new to this school, so I'll let this slide this one time. But remember that I won't be so forgiving in the future. Hi. Thank you, senpai. Issei walked away, but Suna Shitori stayed standing there, watching him as he walked away. Rias was right. He does have strong power within him. It's only a matter of who gets to him first. What shall we do now? They know that you have strength within you and will try to make you a part of their peerage. I know that at least one of them know about the date I have with Yuma. And I bet that they think that I'll get killed and try to revive me as their servant then. So what exactly is your master plan? All that I have to do is try to get her to fall in love with me. Tell me about her plan and then try to become allies with the devils. And what of the boy? Either his master and I can come up with a deal, or I'll have to deal with him forcefully. You're lucky he isn't a servant of the Gremory girl. The House of Gremory is known to treat their servants like family, so it would be unlikely for her to hand one of her own over. That's true, but we have another situation we must deal with first. What is it? You're going to have to reveal that you have a sacred gear eventually, but the question is which one? Oh shit, you're right, Vritra. Which one of you should I reveal? Reveal him for now and save me for a later time. Oh. And why is that, Albion? It's only logical because only you can convince the sea tree to allow Issei to have the boy's sacred gear. That's not the only reason now, is it? No, it isn't. Now that we know that Kuroka is familiar with Ddraig's host, we can use that to get closer with her and have the advantage when we have our battle. Always thinking ahead, aren't we, Albion? I've been trapped in this sacred gear for generations. It's because of Ddraig that I couldn't watch my son make his family, which led to your father to get us where we are now. Ddraig never had children of his own, so he lost nothing. But I lost everything after I got sealed away. I think ahead because I must show that bastard that I am the strongest heavenly dragon. Don't worry, I'll show him that our bloodline is the superior of the two. That is a promise, Ojii-sama. Thank you, Issei. I am glad to say that you are someone whom I am proud of. I understand that you two are having a heartwarming conversation, but we must prepare for our reveal to the devils. Yes, we shall. Let's show them what the black prison is truly made of. Time skipped 3 days later. The day of the date has arrived and Issei is currently waiting at shopping mall and reviewing the plan that he and the dragons have come up with for the past 3 days. Remember, Issei, you must get the fallen angel to fall in love with you by the end of the date. If you fail to do so and she tries to kill you, we must eliminate her. I understand, Oji-sama. Though I doubt that my charms would fail to seduce her. He makes a good point. Issei wields 2 draconic sacred gears and is a demi-drake on his own, so it would make sense that he were a chick magnet. I understand that, but nevertheless we must have a backup plan just in case. Alright, it's time for you two to sleep so she doesn't sense you. I'll wake you up when it's all over. Here, take a flyer, said a woman who looked to be wearing cosplay. A leaflet, huh? At least my suspicions about them knowing about me was correct. Issei, Issei, exclaimed Yuma as she was running towards him. It's so good to see you. I hope you haven't been waiting so long. No, not at all. I honestly just got here, replied Issei. Let's get started, shall we? As he offered his hand. Yuma blushed as she accepted his and the two went off on their date together. The date started off as average as they walked through town, going to places like museums, and a store where he had bought her a bracelet. If Issei were an average person, she would have seemed happy with how the date was progressing, but he saw through that facade. Throughout the date he had noticed that she seemed conflicted about something. Once they made it to a small restaurant, he had decided to make his move. Hey Yuma-chan, I have a question. What is it, Issei-kun? Do you believe in love? Yuma was quite shocked about that sudden question. Why would he ask her about love? He's supposed to be another perverted boy who doesn't care about anything but having sex with a hot girl. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it recently, she said. Well, what do you think about it? He asked. I guess it's something that must feel wonderful. Caring about someone and having them feel the same way towards you, Yuma replied. Well, what would the man you love have to be like? Issei asked. I haven't put much thought about it, but my dream man would have to be a strong, handsome man who cares a great deal about me, Yuma said. Someone who gives me genuine affection and would treat me almost like a queen. Issei chuckled at this. You know, if I didn't know any better, I would have assumed that you were describing me right there. He's right. Yuma had described Issei perfectly. She had obviously thought that Issei was a very handsome person, and throughout the date he had treated her as if she were a queen and nothing else. Am I falling for him? Yuma thought. No, that's impossible, he's just a human who I have to kill by orders of Donasek. But, he seems so gentle, so honest. I don't know what to do anymore. Issei-kun. There's one more place I want to go, Yuma said. Of course, anything for you, Yuma-chan, replied Issei. The two walked out of the restaurant and began to walk towards the fountain at the park. Issei saw how conflicted she was on the walk and wasn't sure what was going to happen. Was she going to abandon her original goal or was she going to try to kill him? He was hoping it was going to be the former, but the choice was hers. Once they had arrived to the fountain, she had broke off their hands and went closer to the fountain until she turned around to face him. Moment of truth, he thought. Guys, wake up, something's about to happen. Get ready. Issei-kun, I just wanted to say that I had so much fun on this date, she said with pure honesty in her voice. Yeah, totally. It was the best date ever, he replied. In honor of this date, I'd like you to do something, to commemorate this special moment, she said as some tears began to make their way out of her eyes. Of course Yuma, I'd do anything for you, Issei replied. Issei-kun, will you? Yuma started to have tears streaming from her eyes. Yuma-chan, what's wrong? He asked. Will you die? I can't do it. Once she said this, she began to transform into what Issei had assumed to be her true form. Black wings came out of her back and her clothes changed from being casual to a sexy-looking leathery S&M look. Issei-kun, this is my true form. My real name is Rainier and I'm a fallen angel. I came to you by orders of one of my comrades to kill you, but I couldn't do it. I love you, Issei-kun. Please forgive me, she cried out. Seeing this gave Issei a genuine smile of happiness. He was glad that he didn't have to kill her and that she would most likely join him. I knew you were a fallen angel the whole time. Why, you knew? She asked. Yeah, I knew the whole time. I just didn't know if you were going to follow through with your plan or not, but I'm happy that you didn't. Issei walked over to Rainier and gave her a passionate kiss on the lips. When he did this, her eyes widened, but eventually she gave in and returned it. I know that since you didn't kill me, your comrades will probably come after you as well, but come with me, Rainier, and I promise that I'll protect you. Thank you, Issei-kun, no problem. Now that all of that is set and done, there's one more thing I have to do. Issei pulled out the leaflet that he obtained from the cosplaying girl earlier in the day and began to concentrate on summoning Rias. After a bit of concentration, the paper flew out of his hand and a magic circle appeared before him, and coming out of it was Rias Gremory in her Kuo Academy uniform. After fully coming out of the magic circle, she was utterly shocked. First, she was shocked at the fact that Issei Hyodo was alive and well in front of her when she expected him to be killed. She was also shocked that there was the fallen angel, who was suspected to be the one killing him, behind him. Once she acknowledged that the fallen angel was alive, she immediately got into a battle position with Rainier doing the same. Whoa, calm down there, Gremory-senpai. We don't want to fight, stated Issei. Then tell me, how are you not dead and why is the fallen angel with you? Asked Rias. I'll explain that and more, but not now. I just want you to get your peerage and the peerage of Sona Citri so we can talk this whole thing out and make sure they know about my fallen angel companion. I don't want there to be any possible fights. Fine, I'll allow at least that much. I'll send someone to fetch you sometime tomorrow during class so we may discuss this. Thank you, Gremory-senpai. With this, Rias teleported away, leaving Issei there with a very confused Rainier. Let's go to my house, Rainier-chan. I think you can use some rest, said Issei. Oh, of course. Thank you, Issei-kun, thanked Rainier. Issei smiled and activated a magic circle under them which teleported them to his living room. Make yourself at home, Reina. Call me Ray, said Rainier, trying to hide a blush. Sure thing. Ray, he replied, we better head to sleep. You can grab any bed you want. Can I sleep with you tonight? She asked. No. Not in that way. A large blush appeared on her face. For a fallen angel, she is quiet, timid. It's probably because she actually cares for Issei, so she doesn't want to be so forward. I guess you can sleep with me tonight, thank you, Issei-kun. Tonight is gonna be an interesting one now, isn't it? Not as interesting as tomorrow will be. Yes, let's see how the devils react when they see how powerful you truly are. Time skip. Whoever this fetcher is, they're taking their sweet time. The wait is over, there he is. Issei looked up. He saw a handsome young man with short blonde hair and gray eyes walking towards him, smiling. Hyodo-san, my name is Yuto Kiba and I'm on an errand for Rias Gremory. Please follow me to the clubroom, he said. Sure thing. Lead the way, Issei replied. Issei followed Yuto to the occult research club and was pleased that he sensed two different groups of devils waiting for them. Good, the boy is there as well. Albion, you may sleep since you aren't necessary for this part of the plan. Good. Wake me up whenever you need me. The two boys walked into the clubroom and saw Rias and Sona sitting next to each other on one of the sofas with their respective peerages standing behind him. Yuto went to stand with his peerage. Issei went to sit on the sofa across from them. I see that all of you are here. Now I just need to summon my guest. Issei snapped his finger and a magic circle came out behind him summoning Rainier. Seeing the fallen angel, the members of both peerages instantly got in a defensive stance. Stand down, Rias said. She is a guest and no harm is to come to her. The same goes to my peerage, Sona said. If any of you harm her you will be punished. The peerages flinched at what their kings have said but returned to their stance behind them. Now that all of that is taken care of we can get into business, Rias said. Tell us, what are you Issei Hyodo? To put it bluntly I'm half dragon and half human, a hybrid, he replied. Issei instantly saw the face of the Queen of Rias soften when he said this. Interesting. And why would a fallen angel be sent with the intent to kill you? Asked Sona. That's because I have a sacred gear and she was sent to get rid of me, he replied. And which sacred gear do you have? Rias asked. I possess the sacred gear called the Prison of Ruin, the strongest of the Vritra sacred gears, he replied. The kings and peerages were dumbfounded to say the least. Issei had assumed they never heard of Prison of Ruin so he decided to show them. Issei activated his sacred gear and they were taken back to see that it was an actual sacred gear. Hello Gremory and Citri. I am the Black Prison Dragon, Vritra. I didn't know that there was a sacred gear which had the consciousness of Vritra, said Sona. I thought your soul was scattered. Only my powers were scattered and my soul was put into this sacred gear. Your pawn also has one of my sacred gears but we will discuss that later. I see now the question is, are you a threat to us? Asked Sona. As long as none of you get in the way of my plans I won't bother any of you, replied Issei. I see, thank you for your honesty, said Rias. That would conclude this meeting, you are all dismissed. I would like to talk to you Citri Senpai before I leave. Sona nods and they wait for the peerages to leave to continue the conversation. Now on to business. Sona, there is something that Vritra would like to discuss with you about. That is correct. Now young Citri, I would like for you to hand over your pawn to us. Sona raised an eyebrow at this request, shocked that he would ask of this. And why would you want him Vritra? Your pawn is too weak Citri, he doesn't deserve a piece of me. Let's assume that I do give you him, what's in it for me? She asked. We would grant you any request, as long as we can fulfill it. Sona thought hard about this request. If she were to give Saji to them they would owe her a favor. Maybe they can help Rias with her forced marriage, she thought. Fine, she said. I'll let you have his sacred gear, but I need a favor from you. And what exactly shall you want from us? Issei asked. Become my pawn. I could use your strength for any future events, she stated. You have a deal Citri. What, Issei, you are too strong for any of her remaining pieces. Vritra stated in his thoughts. Trust me. Good. Now let's make you my pawn, she said. Sona got Issei to lay down on the ground and placed her remaining 4 pawn pieces on his chest. Hopefully this is enough, she thought. In the name of Sona Citri, I call to you, Issei Hyodo, to be reborn as my devil servant. You my pawn, flow with the tide of the underworld, and live under my command. Nothing had happened. It seems that he is too strong for only 4 pawn pieces, Sona thought. It seems that I am too powerful to be reincarnated, Issei said. Because of that I'll be willing to grant you 3 favors as long as they are within my power. Thank you, she said with a hint of sadness in her voice. You should head back to class. I'll see you soon Citri Senpai. With that he left, leaving Sona there thinking about what has happened. How powerful are you Issei Hyodo? Geez, that was a long one compared to the other chapters. The reason it was longer is because I had 2 snow days so I had more time to work on the story. I don't think I mentioned this but Issei does have 2 different balance breakers since he does have 2 sacred gears. Both are black armor no matter what since Vritra is present at all times. I wanted to make Yuto a girl but I wanted Issei to have a guy friend so I kept him as a male. If I accidentally made references of him being a girl tell me so I can fix it. Also I'll refer to him as Kiba for the rest of the story. As always tell me if I left any mistakes, things that don't make sense so I can fix it. Also feel free to PM me about anything that involves the story. Now as always. Review, follow, favorite and take care mother fickers. First, previous ch 6 of 31. Next, chapter 7, Fallen Siblings. New chapter time, and this one is more heartwarming than the others were in my opinion. Reviews Naruto, thanks a ton. Bluedog 1029 Graphia will be in it, but her background won't be like that. It's gonna be somewhat more tragic. Cerberus 328 Well, you don't really need to read the bottom since it has no value to the story for the most part, but I see what you mean. I update once a week for the most part, so you only have to deal with the cringe once a week. This chapter you should cause it has an updated list of the harem. Sell it. If Tiamat was Albion's maid in this story, that means she's Issei's great-grandmother, so doesn't work out in that way, but I can get her in the harem another way. LazyManJones 96 Great to know Ranger Elk 76 Kuroka is the main, but Issei hasn't had much interaction with Akeno yet, so she's not in the running to be a main girl. She will be in the harem though. Zesterios, I fucking love you for your reviews, they're hilarious. As for the torture, just maybe. If I do it, I want it to be good, so PM me if you're interested to read it before anyone else so I can know it's a good one. Plasma Dragon 312, he's gonna get more awesome soon. Ryujin 96 for who gets the gear. I was thinking about someone more on the lines from Kuroka to maybe even Rainier. The person who gets it will be in a peerage but will be more loyal to Issei rather than their king. I wanted Issei to be a free agent cause he will inherit a peerage like I referenced in a previous chapter, so for him to be a servant and then win a peerage of his own isn't logical. Alright, that's it for now. Enjoy the chapter. Talking, thinking or speaking in thought with Albion, Vritra. Albion, Vritra. Hee well, that went better than expected now, didn't it, Vritra? It's almost worrisome how she easily agreed to hand over her pawn. So what? You said it yourself, he's only a pawn. The guy's replaceable. Citri Senpai can just get a new one. You don't understand, Issei. What don't I understand? Although it may not be a crime, knowing that a servant is in danger and willingly do nothing about it is very taboo in Devil Society. If word gets out that the Citri allowed a servant of hers to perish, will result in her being looked down upon by all devils. And her family could legally remove her from the household to keep some respect in the underworld. So if she's allowing me to dispose of Saji, there is something she needs from you that's so important. She's risking her entire future on it. Just what did I get myself into? Time skip. End of school. The rest of the school day went fast for Issei as he was practically sleeping on his desk. It almost surprised him that no one had bothered him at all, but that ended when the Prince of Kuo had walked up to him. Hyodo-san, my bucko would like to have a word with you, he said. Oh. Here, I thought that our business was over when I came into your clubroom earlier, Issei said. There are other matters she would like to speak to you about without the presence of the student council. Very well. Lead the way. On their way to the clubroom, Issei noticed that the knight seemed to be interacting with him in a more defensive manner. He seemed as if he has guard up in case Issei had tried to do anything against him. Earlier in the day he acted more carefree, but now even his movement seems a bit, for a lack of a better word, forced. The two made way to the door of clubroom, but he stopped to look at Issei before speaking. I need to go serve a client, but Bucko and the rest will be inside waiting for you, he said before walking away. What could possibly go wrong? Don't jinx yourself. Issei walked inside to see the short white-haired girl, who interestingly enough had the same aura as Kuroka, albeit at a more suppressed level but still noticeable, and the Queen of Gremory. A dragon has invaded, she said. What is a defenseless maiden such as myself supposed to do now? Holy shit, she's just like Kuroka. Hello. I was told that Gremory Senpai wanted to see me. Ah yes, she did want to see you. Currently she's in the shower washing up, but she'll be out shortly, she informed. Please, take a seat while I get you some tea. Issei went to sit on the same sofa he sat on earlier in the day, which was across from the white-haired girl who seemed to be eating some sweets. It wasn't long until the queen returned with the tea she had promised moments ago. Thank you. Issei took a sip of the tea and was quite surprised of the fact it was extremely better than any other tea he had before. This tea is amazing. I appreciate the praise ufu, she said. Allow me to formally introduce myself. My name is Akeno Hamejima, Queen of Rias Gremory. Nice to meet you, Hamejima Senpai, Issei bowed. My name is Issei Hyodo, please take care of me. What a gentleman my Kahai is, she said while licking her fingers. Akeno, please refrain from making any advancements towards him. Both Issei and Akeno turned their heads to the shower door to see Rias in her school uniform and using a towel to dry her wet hair. "Sorry to keep you waiting," she said. "I just needed to wash myself after a long day. I hope you didn't mind." "It's no problem really. I'm just confused at why you needed to speak with me again. I thought that all your questions were dealt with earlier today," Issei said. "Yes, most of my questions were answered earlier, but there are a few more I would like to ask without the company of the other peerage," explained Rias. "First and foremost, I would like to introduce myself and my servants in a more personal manner. My name is Rias Gremory, heir of the House of Gremory. My queen is Akeno Hamejima. My rook is Kaneko Taju and my knight is Yuto Kiba, but he prefers to be called Kiba. Now this is my question to you. Will you join my peerage and serve me as my pawn?" Issei wasn't at all shocked that she would have asked him about joining her peerage. He couldn't blame her though. Earlier in the day she found out that Issei had a special sacred gear that neither she nor Sona had ever heard of. To top it all off, said sacred gear contained one of the Dragon Kings inside of it. "You know, I honestly do admire how forward you were at asking me to join your peerage, but I respectfully have to decline your offer." Rias was shocked on how he almost instantly turned down her offer for joining her peerage. She hadn't really thought that he would turn down an offer to be her servant. "May I know why you have to reject my offer?" she asked. "Well, I have two reasons for my decision," he said. "The first being that I'm honestly too powerful to be turned into a servant with only 8 pawn pieces." Rias and Akeno widened their eyes while Kaneko just continued to eat her sweets. "The reason that I know this is because you aren't the first devil wishing to turn me into their servant. Hell, not even Citri Senpei was the first person to try and reincarnate me as a pawn. There were even some devils who tried to use a mutation piece on me and still failed," he explained. "Even if you were able to turn me into your pawn, I wouldn't want to, because as a dragon being a servant doesn't sit too well with me." "I see then. Thank you for your honesty," she said. "But since you can't join my peerage, will you join the Occult Research Club?" "Sure thing. I'd be glad to join this club, Gremory Senpei." "Thank you, Issei-san. I hope that we can get along." "As do I, Gremory Senpei," replied Issei. "I think I should return home. Rainier might be a bit lonely without me." "I see. I'll see you tomorrow then, Issei-san. I'll see you all tomorrow." Rias Pav. Issei left the room and closed the door behind him, leaving Rias, Akeno and Kaneko to sit there in silence until Akeno broke it. "That went decently well. Wouldn't you agree, Rias?" asked Akeno. Rias didn't reply. Instead she summoned a miniature magic circle on her desk which made a hologram of Kiba within it. "Kiba, he's on the move. Follow him to see what he does, but don't let him see you," ordered Rias. "Hi bucko," replied Kiba with the magic circle disappearing. Era bucko. Are you interested in our little Kahai ufufu? I just want to make sure he gets home safe, that's all, Akeno. You never know if other fallen angels would attack him after the first one failed at their mission." "Whatever you say, bucko." Issei Pav. "Vritra, did you sense a bit of Nekomata in Kaneko as well?" "Yes, I have, Issei. I'm surprised that you could sense it since it seemed almost forcefully suppressed. I know a Nekomata anywhere since I'm with one, and been in one many time." "Of course you would say that, Oji-sama, can't say he's lying though, can you, Issei?" "That's what I though." Before Albion could finish his sentence, a barrier had surrounded him and left him trapped in the area. "Who the hell would want to trap me?" Issei asked aloud. "That would be me," said a feminine voice. From the shadows there emerged a female fallen angel with long navy blue hair, and her attire consisted of a violet, trenchcoat-like top with a wide collar, a matching miniskirt, and black-heeled shoes. Much like a fallen angel, the top of the trenchcoat was open to give off a very pleasing view of her breast. "And who are you exactly?" Issei asked. "My name is Calawarner," she said while summoning a yellow spear of light. "And I'm here to finish the job that Rainier couldn't." Calawarner began to fly towards Issei in an attempt to kill him by stabbing him with her light spears, but Issei easily dodged each and every one of them with little effort. "Why don't you use me to finish her? There's no fun in that, Vritra. Plus I want to know why she's even trying to kill me." Issei continued to toy with her a bit more until he grabbed one of her light spears, destroying it, forcing her to make some distance between them. "So why exactly are you trying to kill me?" he asked. "Because you killed my sister." "Wait. What? Don't act as if you don't know, you bastard. You killed her, you killed Raynare. I think you're misinformed. I didn't kill her, don't lie. Donasek told me that you killed her, that's why she didn't come back last night. She charged at him with 2 more light spears in hand with even more killing intent than before. Right now she was in a state of pure rage. What now? It's obvious that she's not in a state to be reasoned with. The only thing left for me to do. I'm just going to flare some of my power to get her on the ground. Issei flared barely even 5% of his total power and Kalawarner was instantly affected by the power. Her legs gave out and she fell on the ground. Losing all will to fight, she closed her eyes and awaited her fate. Issei began to walk towards the downed Kalawarner and summoned a sword of shadows and had the tip of the blade scratch the ground. Just do it, end me so I can finally be reunited with my sister. Issei raised his sword above of Kalawarner's head to strike her down and finally swung it. Clank, what the? Kalawarner saw that Issei didn't stab her but instead dug his sword into the ground. Stand up, you're not dying here today, you don't understand. I can't live without my sister. If you die now you won't be reunited with her in the afterlife. She's alive and well, so if you die here she will be alone. You're lying. There's no way that she can be alive, Donasek said so. Who are you going to believe, him or the person who saw her last? How do I know that you're not lying so you can kill me later? I could have killed you earlier, so what's the point? Issei reached his hand out waiting for her to accept it. Fine, but if you're lying I'm gonna kill you. She took his hand and Issei used magic circle to teleport. Both him and Kalawarner were sent to his home to see Rainier. Something they were unaware of though, was that Kiba was watching the entire thing. He was completely shocked to feel the power that Issei showed off and wondered if he was holding anything back. I need to tell Bucko about this. Issei's house. Rainier was sitting on Issei's couch, watching TV while awaiting for the return of her Issei. That was when a magic circle appeared in front of her and she got into a defensive position because she didn't know who was going to come out of the portal. When she saw that Issei came out of it, her defenses dropped, but it was the second person with him that surprised her. Kalawarner? Rainier asked, dumbfounded. Rainier? Kalawarner exclaimed while crying in her arms. I thought he killed you. You see? I didn't lie about killing her. At this point she's too special for me to let her die, explained Issei. Rainier immediately began to blush all over her face hearing what Issei said, but then it hit her. Who told you that I died? Rainier asked. Donasek did, answered Kalawarner. Donasek told me that the kid you were sent to kill killed you last night. I sense some irony in this. Shut up, Vritra, excuse me from cutting into this reunion, but what are you going to do now, Kalawarner-san? Issei asked. Donasek lied to me about Rainier's fate. He deserves to die, she said. So I assume that you will stay with Rei-san and I? Yes. From now on I refuse to leave my sister alone. Very well. I'll go get a room set for the both of you while you catch up. Issei walked out of the room and left the 2 fallen sisters alone to talk over what has happened over the past few days. Kalawarner went over how angered she got when he told her that Rainier had been killed by the one she had been sent to eliminate and how Issei was easily able to incapacitate her with little effort, and Rainier explained the special sacred gear that he has within him. Speaking of sacred gears, the nun had arrived earlier this morning, explained Kalawarner. Already? Asked Rainier. She wasn't supposed to arrive until next week. I don't understand why she arrived so early, but it made Donasek have to change the plan and is making him change the day of the ritual to Wednesday. I'll assume that now that I'm gone he's going to take twilight healing for himself now, am I right? Correct. He didn't think that neither myself nor Middle deserved it, so he's gonna take it. Rainier sat there thinking about what she was going to do until she finally decided about what needed to happen. We can't allow him to take twilight healing for himself. He needs to be taken care of, declared Rainier. I agree with you on that. He chose to lie to me about your death, sister. He deserves to die, agreed Kalawarner. But who's going to kill him? Oh, that's easy. My Issei-sama is gonna kill him, Rainier said. Your boyfriend is gonna kill him? Kalawarner teased. He's not my boyfriend, Rainier exclaimed as she began to blush all over. Oh yes, that's why you referred to him as your Issei-sama. That's not what I meant, sure it isn't. Meanwhile with Issei. What now, Issei? You have 2 fallen angels living with you. I'm not entirely sure, Albion, but I can probably make it work. At least now you have the company of a woman. With Kuroka she appears and disappears at random. I don't have the same relationship with Ray-chan as I do with Kuroka. You never know, Issei. Fallen angels are known to be very seductive, and the two in your living room are prime examples of that. Just look at what they're wearing. Ah yes, their attire is very revealing. I especially enjoy the rear end of it. Say hello to the butt dragon, implore everyone. Don't judge me, Vritra. If he won't, then I will. Just go back to talking about the fallen angels. Trying to change the topic, Albion? Just shut up. Fine then. Now Issei, do you have true feelings for the fallen one? I don't know yet, Vritra. I know that I care about her, but I don't love her yet. I see. Nevertheless, you must still protect both her and her sister, no matter the cost. That is something I swear on doing. You can count on me, Vritra. Good. You are truly becoming a real man, Issei. Thank you. I think it's time you go speak with them. You're right. I'll speak with you both later. Issei went to talk with the fallen angel sisters about what their future plans now are. Alright, I got your rooms ready so you guys can sleep tonight, said Issei. Thank you, Issei-san. I can't explain how grateful I am, said Kalawarner. Issei-sama, is it alright if I sleep with you from now on? Rainier asked shyly. How bold of you, Rainier. I'm not gonna be getting any nieces or nephews soon now, am I? Kalawarner teased. I have no idea what you're talking about, exclaimed Rainier. Kalawarner began to laugh uncontrollably at how Rainier got embarrassed about her teasings. Issei enjoyed the sight he was seeing. Not because Rainier got embarrassed, but instead it was because how shy she got about the question she asked him. Ray-san, you can sleep in my bed whenever you would like. No need to be so worried about it, assured Issei. Thank you, Issei-sama, said Rainier. Speaking of which, I think it's time to head to sleep. I'll see you in the morning, Kalawarner-san. See you in the morning, Issei-san. Kalawarner walked closer to Issei and whispered seductively in his ear. Please be careful with my sister. It's gonna be her first time. Just what did I do to deserve this? Kalawarner walked into her new room while leaving Issei and Rainier in the living room alone. Well, I guess we should head to sleep as well, don't you agree, Ray-san? Hi, Issei-sama. They both walked together to Issei's room to get ready for sleep. Issei had let Rainier borrow some of his clothes to sleep in while he got changed into a t-shirt and sweatpants. When they went on the bed to sleep, Rainier tried to snuggle closer with Issei. Issei-sama, do you think you can wrap your arms around me? She asked. I don't know, Ray-san. I doubt you need me to hoe. Please, she had the face that he couldn't refuse. It almost reminded him of how both he and Kuroka were like when they met. Alright. Just for tonight though. Issei used his arms to bring her closer to him and tightened his grip around her. Good night, Issei-sama, good night, Ray-san. I hope you guys enjoyed that chapter. Personally, it's my favorite one so far. I want to say that I'm gonna be writing a new story, but it won't start until next month, but I'll have a teaser chapter sometime this week. Now for the harem update. For sure. Kuroka, Main, Rias, Akano, Rainier, Zenobia, Grafia, Gabriel, Ravel, Schwalen, Ubaluna, Tiamat, Irina, Tsubaki, Femme Valley, Rosweiss. Maybe. Yasaka, Venelana, Kalawarner, Penamwe, Tsubasa, Serafal, Sona, Riser's Peerage. No. Kaneko, I realized that I shouldn't care how large his harem is cause he wants to be the goddamn harem king. So a large harem is needed. Plus there was a fanfic where Issei had a harem of literally 50 women, I forget which one it was though. Anyways, next chapter will have Issei meet Asia and it will bring back some bad memories of his past. Anyways, like always, please review, follow, favorite and take care, ya bastards. Chapter 8. A Nun's Twilight. What's up, it's time for a new chapter. Honestly, I feel like you guys might not like this one, but we'll see. Just going to SSY that you'll be learning a good amount of new information. I'm also dropping all Japanese titles like Sama, Chan and Kun. Reviews MR Spice. Thank you BlueDog 1029. Each girl will get the proper time with Issei when they properly join the harem. Venelana and Penamwe will have simple introductions after the Riser arc. Yasaka will be difficult though. Hi and goodbye. Maybe Infinite Issei. Thanks a lot, and she really isn't used as much as the main pairing, unfortunately. Cerberus 328. She's gonna view Issei more like a brother figure since he's with Kuroka. Ranger Elk 76. She's out for his blood. Dead Men playing. No, she's not. Ryujin 96. It's great that you like everything so far and I fixed the mistake. She is in the harem. On with the story. Talking, thinking or speaking in thought with Albion, Vritra. Albion, Vritra. Special attacks chants. The sun shined bright through the window of Issei's room, awakening him. His eyes began to slowly open and once they did he saw an interesting sight to say the least. On his right he saw Rainier, clinging onto him as if he were her personal hug pillow. Rainier clinging onto him wasn't the thing that was interesting. No, instead it was the fact that there was a third occupant in his bed. Not only were they a surprising guest but they were also very nude. He immediately knew who it was since she had a feature that no girl he knew had. Crimson red hair. Usually I would be freaking out about this but this time, I think I'm just gonna enjoy this. As you should. I doubt many people get to be this close to the sister of a devil king. That is very true. From what I know he is very protective over his younger sister. I can probably take him on. No need to worry about me. I don't doubt that you can but he's not a super devil for nothing. Worst comes to worst I have to use my true form. Let's hope for both your sakes that it won't come to that. Just deal with the girl, she's waking up. As Vritra stated, Rias began to slowly wake up from her sleep. Her eyes fluttered open just to see Issei staring at her. Oh, good morning Issei, good morning to you too. Rias, curious to find out why she's in his bed to begin with, Issei decided to get straight to the point. Why are you in my bed? Naked at that. Straight to the point, aren't we? Well, to say the truth, I had Kiba follow you home yesterday after you left the club room. When Kiba told me what happened between you and the second fallen angel, I decided to wait a bit to confront you about it, but I saw how you and your little friend here sleeping and I decided to join in as well. And you sleep in the nude? I prefer sleeping in the nude. It appalled Issei at how simply Rias could have answered his question. He could have sworn that he heard the two dragons laughing in his head once they heard her answer. Why? Do you not find my body fascinating? That's not it at all. It's just not every day that a beautiful woman such as yourself shows up in my bed in the nude. Well, aren't you a charmer? Rias gave off an almost seductive smile which almost made Issei go after her if it wasn't for the fact that Rainier was still sleeping to the right of him. I wonder how many other girls you've seduced. Are you saying that my seduction is working? A large smirk grew on Issei's face, seeing that he was potentially successful at seducing someone he has been secretly lusting for. Rias gave him a very sweet smile, almost an innocent one without a seductive look to it. It looked as if she were doubtful about something until she gave a sincere answer. Maybe, it just might be working. This answer was enough to satisfy Issei. He knew that there was a part of him that cares about Rias, but he didn't know why. It was from the moment that he saw her that he was immediately captivated by her. It wasn't just lust for her that he felt, it was something deeper. But he couldn't be too forward just yet. How about you go downstairs and get ready for school? That way we can walk together, he suggested. She got out of the bed and walked towards the door while she collected her clothing. When she got to the door she looked back at him before exiting. Don't keep me waiting too long, Issei. Issei stayed in his bed for a few seconds until he got up, as slowly as possible to not wake up Rainier, and started to get changed into his school uniform. While he was getting ready he began to think about what has happened. So the carpet does match the drapes, are you seriously that clueless? No, I'm not. I noticed it too, Albion. You should know by now that clueless people are something he hates. Not as much as innocent and naive people, but still. I did notice that she seemed almost hesitant about accepting my advances on her. The reason why is a mystery to me. Perhaps there is something that's currently haunting her, hindering her ability to accept any advances. But not hindering the ability to be a tease. Being a tease and having the ability to care for someone are very different. One can show you a false form of love at night but can't show true love at day. Fine. You can be his mentor in battles of love. Wake me up when he has a true battle. So, oh wise one. What do you suggest I do? You need to get her to open up to you. Maybe telling her the story about your past can do the trick. And how shall I explain that my adopted mother is the Ouroboros dragon? Don't specifically refer to her by name. Now go get to work. You make it sound so easy. Once Issei was finally finished getting dressed he went down to the living room to see that Rias was in a conversation with a hologram of Sona hovering in front of her. Instead of being a good person and informing them that he was there, Issei decided to listen to the conversation. Sona, I don't understand why you're so insistent on why you don't want me to interact with him, Rias exclaimed. From what your knight told me, he's too dangerous for you to be around him unprotected, Sona explained. He has a power that we can't even comprehend. You aren't safe around him. Sona, you have nothing to worry about, Rias assured. From what I can tell, he could be harboring some feelings for me. I make it that obvious, eh? Issei thought. That makes him more dangerous, Rias. He could possibly be planning to take you by forceful means. For someone who wants favors, she seems to be very untrusting of me. He isn't like that, Sona. If he were to kidnap me, he would have done so by now. He's a protector, not a monster. Why do you even care about him, Rias? As long as we didn't bother him, he wouldn't bother us, so why are you even with him? Rias seemed hesitant to answer her question. It was as if she either had no answer or an answer she couldn't accept. We'll speak about this later. I'll see you at school, Sona. Rias ended the call and continued to sit there, silently. Issei decided to come out of the shadows and went over to Rias and called out to her. Rias was immediately surprised that Issei called out to her when she wasn't expecting him. After her shock, she stood up to see Issei behind her. I think it's time for us to get going. Scene break. After a very eventful morning, the both of them began to make their way to school. It was now that he decided to tell her about his past. Rias, I gotta know something. Do you trust me? He asked. After the conversation, he wasn't sure if she trusted him or not. This is when Rias stopped in her tracks. He was confused at why she did so, but those confusions faded away once she answered him. I honestly don't know if I can or cannot trust you, she stated. There's so much we don't know about you. I can't be sure about you until I learn more about you. Issei began to look at her with a more serious face, knowing that he would have to tell a story that he hasn't told since he had met Kuroka. Rias. I'll be willing to tell you my story, but I need us to be alone because I don't wish for others to know about my past. Rias nods. I'll contact Sona to excuse you from classes for today. You can tell your story in the club room. I suggest she be with us. I assume that she's the one that distrusts me the most between the two of you. Time skip Orc room. Issei was sitting in the club room for a good half an hour waiting for Rias and Sona to arrive. At this point he was contemplating if he should go through with telling them his history, but knew at this point there was no going back. It wasn't much longer until Rias and Sona finally arrived to the room. After entering, Rias had locked the door so no one would disturb them and took a seat on the sofa. So I heard that you're willing to tell us about your past, Sona said. Where would you like to begin? I think it would be best if I were to start from when I was first introduced into the supernatural world, Issei said. When I was 7, my parents and I were attacked by 2 dragon hunters by the names of Xander and Siegbert. They acted cowardly, attacking us when we were simply relaxing together. They quickly killed my father, with my mother being killed soon after, leaving me covered in their blood with no idea why they had done this. Before they chose to kill me, they decided to tell me why they had killed my family. Apparently Kokabiel had hired them because he was afraid that either my father or I would become a threat to his plans in the future. Once they finally decided to kill me, they were killed by my now adopted mother. She raised and trained me to become who I am today. Both Rias and Sona were left speechless at this story. It looked as if Rias was about to shed a tear. But after recovering from her shock, Sona asked a question he wished that she hadn't. Who was the woman who had saved you? Oh shit, why did she have to ask that? Give her a false name. No need to give them this information. No, if I'm going to get them to trust me, I need to tell them everything. If that is what you wish, then go ahead. I'll tell you, but I need you both to promise that you won't tell anyone. I need this to stay between us. Both Rias and Sona nod to this. My savior was Ophis. Their eyes immediately open at this. To say that they were shocked truly was a major understatement. You're telling me that the Ouroboros dragon is your adopted mother? Rias asks. Well, technically now I'm her child, since a few years ago she infused some of her own genetic makeup into me. I even have some of her abilities now. Once again their eyes widened at this new information. For him to now have even some of the power of the infinite dragon god makes him a very powerful person. I see. That is why it's impossible for you to become a servant. You're simply too powerful to be reincarnated, determined Rias. That's exactly it. Even if you had a full set of mutated pawns, it still wouldn't be enough, Issei said. I see. Either way, both Rias and I thank you for revealing your past to us. I think I can begin to trust you now, Hyodo. Sona's right. Now there are no secrets between us. We can begin to depend on each other. Good, because I need help from the both of you. Sona raised an eyebrow. And what exactly do you need? From what my new fallen angel friend told me, an exiled nun has been taken in by a Rouge fallen angel and some exorcist who are currently based in the abandoned church, and they're planning to take her sacred gear. I need your help to eliminate them. With respect, this isn't my territory, so this doesn't involve me. I'll leave it to Rias if she chooses to help you, Sona states. If I do help you, what's in it for me? Rias asks. You can take the nun as your servant if so desire. I'll also owe you one. After some thought, Rias nodded to give him her assistance. She needed both his future favor and a new servant for some future use. The ritual happens tomorrow night, so you should inform your peerage about what's going down. Are we going to meet here, or will we find you fighting already? You'll most definitely find me there already. I'll see you there then. Time skip. For wanting to kill whoever Donasek is, those two sure are taking their time, Issei thought, annoyed at how long Rainier and Calawarner were taking to get ready. Give them time. They'll be down at any moment. Almost immediately the two fallen angels came down to the living room to depart to the abandoned church. I assume that you both are ready now? He asked. They both nod. Alright, let's get going then. Issei summons a magic circle, teleporting the three of them to their destination. Once they arrive, they're surprised to find that no one is guarding the outside of the church. You know, I would have expected at least some exorcist out here, but this is just disappointing, Issei says. As have I, but it seems as if they didn't expect anyone to interfere with the plan, Rainier said. Let's see if there's anyone waiting for us in the inside, Calawarner suggested. The trio begin to make their way into the church just to see a single exorcist waiting. Immediately after seeing him, both Rainier and Calawarner cringed. This exorcist was a young man with short white hair and red eyes. Just by looking at him, Issei could tell that there was something off about him. Well, if it isn't the two traitorous sluts with their new boy toy, he says maniacally. I can't believe the first person we see on our return is you, Fried, Rainier replies. Who is this guy? Issei asks. This right here is Fried Selzen, Calawarner replies. He's been known to be a very insane person. It's been rumored that he was kicked out of the Vatican for raping an angel. And I enjoyed every minute of it, Fried says. Hearing her scream for her life was so entertaining. This enraged Issei instantly. To hear that this guy raped an angel and has no regrets of it made him sick to his stomach. Alright, this guy is a sicko. I'm not gonna bother spend much time with him, so I'll make it quick, Issei said. Oh, this is hilarious. You think that you can beat the Fried Selzen? He retorts. I'll chop you to pieces. Fried lunged at Issei, but it didn't faze him one bit. All Issei did was raise his left arm and said three simple words. Chains of shadows. At that, a large portal appeared below Fried, and out of it came chains that launched at him. What are you doing to me? He asks, desperately trying to free himself from the chains. Issei walks up to the chained down Fried and raises his hand. Trash like you doesn't deserve the easy punishment of death. For all the sins you have committed you shall spend eternity suffering in the prison of shadows. Goodbye. With a snap of his finger, the chains bring Fried down into the portal, devouring him and making him suffer, without the privilege of being killed. Issei continued to stand there, clearly still enraged, while Rainier and Calawarner stood there, shocked on how Issei had decided to deal with Fried. Unlike Rias and Sona, the two fallen angels don't have any idea of his past or his power. After the passing of the shock, Rainier decided to walk up to him and give him a hug from the back. She didn't like the more brutal side of his. She wanted him to be the sweet guy who took him on that wonderful date a few days ago. Issei, she said. This isn't like you. Please bring back the man I fell in love with. Once contact was made between the two, he slowly began to calm down. The anger within him began to subside and his carefree side began to return. Why did you go this far? She asked. Why didn't you just kill him? He didn't deserve the luxury of death, Issei replied. After what he did, he deserves to suffer. But why did you get so enraged after I told you what he did? Calawarner asked. Issei was very hesitant to answer, but he decided that they deserved to know. A few years ago, when I first started to train and get stronger, I was attacked by a group of fallen angels. I fought long and hard, but I couldn't last that long. Once they were about to finish me, an angel came down and saved my life. She took care of me for the next few days until I left. I guess it angered me that Fried could have done that to a pure fallen angel and had no regrets of it. If fallen angels have caused you pain, then why do you treat us nicely? Kalawarner asked. Over time I learned that not all fallen angels are evil. Like you too, there can be good fallen angels who I can care about. Rainier instantly began to blush when Issei said that he cared about her. It crossed her mind that maybe the two could be together in the future. If the two of you are done flirting around, we have a nun to save, Kalawarner said. We weren't flirting, Rainier retorted. Yeah, whatever, let's just get to work, replied Kalawarner. And where exactly are the rest of the exorcist? Issei asked. They should be in the hidden chamber downstairs. I know the way down, follow me. Issei followed the fallen angels to the hidden stairway in the center of the church to hear screams echoing from the bottom. The ritual is almost over, we need to hurry, Rainier exclaimed. The trio ran down the stairwell and saw dozens of Rouge exorcists around a male fallen angel holding a green orb of light with 2 rings in it. The screams of the girl was dying down and her body was lifeless. You're too late, the man said. Twilight healing is now mine and no one can stop me. That's where you're wrong, Donasek, Kalawarner replied. By the time the sun rises, you and the rest of these traitors will be begging for mercy. Oh, is that so? It's only 3 of you against my army. You can't defeat us. Wrong once again, said a voice behind the trio. Issei and the 2 fallen angels looked behind them and saw Rias and her peerage, all in a battle stance. Ah, the heir of Gremory, it's an honor to be in your presence, Donasek said mockingly. It's quite contradictory to say that after capturing an exiled nun and stealing her sacred gear now, isn't it? She said. Well, I guess you could say that, but it won't matter after you're all dead. Kill them, Donasek ordered. Go, my servants, and show them what happens when you mess with the House of Gremory, Rias commanded. Yes, President, her peerage said. The 3 servants went on to attack all the exorcists, cutting them down in a quick fashion. Now if you don't mind, I'm gonna deal with their leader, Issei said, summoning 2 swords of darkness in each of his hands. Try not to hurt him too much, Issei, Rias requested. No promises, Issei winked. Issei finally released his dragon wings, which consisted of 4 total wings. 2 of the wings were purely white with beautiful scales on them both. The other 2 wings were as black as shadows, and within the scales had Ophis' signature infinity sign. He flew directly at Donasek and swung his swords at him. The swords clashed with Donasek's spear of light, but surprisingly to him the spear shattered. Donasek flew into the hair, dodging any other attacks that came his way. What's the matter, Donasek, you scared already? Issei taunted. Shut up, you worthless dragon. I'll slay you where you stand, Donasek yelled in rage. He lunged towards Issei and swung 2 new spears at him with the full intent of killing him on the spot. Every swing of the spear he made, Issei dodged it with little to no effort and continued to destroy them one after another. After this process was redone a few more times, Issei dodged a final swing of a spear and cut one of Donasek's arms off. God damn it, you bastard, he yelled in pain. How dare you? Well, you were about to kill me, so I call that self-defense, Issei replied almost mockingly. Now time to choose what else I'm gonna cut off. Donasek tried flying away and used twilight healing to heal his lost arm, but was interrupted when Issei flew up and sliced off one of his wings. Well, isn't that unfortunate? It looks like you lost your wing, Issei mocked. I hope you don't mind if I take the other. With a swing of his sword, Issei cut off the other remaining wing, leaving Donasek screaming in pain. Please spare me, Donasek pleaded. I bet the nun was also begging for mercy, yet you still killed her. It's entertaining at how these events turned out. Issei stood in front of the downed Donasek, eyes closed, and reached his arm towards him and began to summon shadows around him. The shadows waved around him until they went into Donasek and pulled out the sacred gear he had stolen from the nun. You're no longer a threat to anyone, Donasek. You have no wings, no power. I'll let you live to fight another day, Issei said as he turned his back towards him and began to walk away. Donasek just laid there, enraged that he was defeated by a simple half-breed. He shouldn't accept this. He won't accept this. He stood up and made a final spear of light and started to run towards the unsuspecting Issei to slay him on the spot. Everyone besides him noticed what Donasek was about to do and tried to call out to him. Issei, behind you, they called out. Unfortunately, he wasn't quick enough to turn around, and what he saw was a large spear of light heading straight to his face. Crack. The sound of breaking bones was the last thing everyone heard until they realized what had happened. A spear of light had pierced the skin and the bones of not Issei but instead of Danasik. A large gaping hole formed in his stomach by the spear which had stabbed him. It wasn't a violet spear of Rainier nor the yellow spear of Kalawarner, but it was one he didn't recognize. This spear of light was light pink in color. Middle H, how dare you, Danasik struggled to say. You were a traitor, Danasik. There's no place in the Grigori for traitors, Middle said. Now die. She summoned a new spear of light and impaled it into Dansik's head, killing him. Middle, I was gonna do that. You stole my moment from me, Kalawarner said. You were just too slow, Kalawarner, Middle replied. I think old age finally caught up to you. Ignoring the two, Issei began to make his way towards Rias and her peerage. I gotta thank you, Rias. Without you I don't think either Rainier nor Kalawarner would have survived this, Issei said. You're welcome, Issei, but I hope you're gonna keep your end of the bargain, she replied. It's time that I reincarnated the nun. As she was making her way towards the nun, Issei went in her way and stopped her. I don't think that she would be the best of servants, Issei said. And why's that? Rias asked. If she got herself tricked by the rogues, then it would mean she's too trusting. What if she gets tricked into betraying you? If she won't be my servant, then who will, Issei? You promised me. I know I did. I have the two perfect replacements. Issei began to walk towards Rainier and Kalawarner with Twilight Healing in hand. Ray, I want you to have Twilight Healing and join Ria's peerage, he requested. But why? She can keep you safe as long as you're a part of her peerage. This way if I'm not around she can take care of you. Rias walked over to them and tried to help Issei convince Rainier to join her. You don't need to worry about how you're treated. My family is known to treat our servants like family, she explained. Can I stay with Issei? Rainier requested, trying to hide a blush. Of course you can. I won't take you away from him, Rias replied. Hey, interrupted Kalawarner. If you make her your servant you will have to do the same to me. If that is what you wish I can't deny you of that, Rias said. Issei gave Rainier the sacred gear and Rias reincarnated both her and Kalawarner using 4 pawn pieces for each. Alright, I think it's time for everyone to head home, Issei suggested. You're right. I'll see you tomorrow at school, Issei, replied Rias as she and her peerage, minus Rainier and Kalawarner, teleported away. Before leaving, Rainier and Kalawarner ran up to Middle to see where she was heading. Middle, where are you going to be going now? Rainier asked. I'm not sure. I might just go back to the Grigori, she replied. Why don't you come live with us? Kalawarner suggested. I don't think Issei would mind. Do you, Issei? No, not at all. I think I have an extra room for her, Issei replied. It's settled then. Middle is gonna come live with us now, Rainier exclaimed. Alright then. I'll gladly live with you guys. Thanks you, Middle thanked. Let's go get you settled, Kalawarner said. The fallen angel trio went flying towards the house to get settled in, leaving Issei in the church alone. Aren't you going to follow them? I will, but I have to do something really quick. Issei went to the laying body of the nun and carried her outside. Once they got to the outside church he dug a quick hole and buried her. She deserved a proper burial. No one deserved to have that done to them. I suggest you cast a spell on her body so she can't be reincarnated. You never know what could happen. You're right, I should. Issei summoned a magic circle and engulfed her into her, making it impossible for anyone to bring her back from the dead. Time for us to head home. Issei expanded his wings and flew back home, leaving the church in ruins with the dead bodies of all the exorcists laying around. Today was an eventful day. What's next? I'm gonna be quite honest that this chapter isn't my favorite. I feel like I could have done much better, but hey, I did my best. Now I'm sorry if you guys didn't like that I gave Asia literally no lines at all and that I gave a weird explanation of Issei and Ophis' new familial link. But now she's his mother, so it's gonna be a fun ride from here. She does care about Issei as if he was her actual son and expect Issei to have a new sibling in the future. Harem time. For sure. Kuroka, Main, Rias, Akano, Rainier, Zenobia, Grafia, Gabriel, Ravel, Schwalen, Ubaluna, Tiamat, Irina, Tsubaki, Femme Valley, Rosweiss, Penamoy Maybe, Yasaka, Venelana, Kalawarner, Tsubasa, Serafal, Sona, Riser's Peerage, Middle No. Kaneko, see you guys next time for the Rage of a Phoenix. First, previous ch8 of 31 next.